Well, it's Monday out here at the other place, and being as I generally work 4 days a week, decided I'd take Monday off instead of Friday this week and do a little more on this. I got things laid out here. I didn't finish it up last night, so anyway. And then this OSB, you're supposed to give it a gap in between the two boards here of an 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch on the edges and on the end when you're putting it on like a roof or something. I'm giving mine a 1/16, which is going to be plenty. We don't have as much heat and cooling here as in a lot of places. It's more of a mild climate, and that'll be plenty for expansion and contraction for what I'm doing. And then what I'll do is after this is all painted and everything, I'll go ahead and lay a batten down over the top of this joint and paint it in place too. Just tack a 1x2 down the side over the top of this thing here, and I'm going to call that good. Anyway, for the side. So, and I'm putting this whole thing together with screws. I'm not using nails. What I'm using to put this stuff on are these what are they, 1 5/8 deck screws, so they're coated already. So when I'm putting my stuff on here, ever since I started building with screws, I really like it. If you're gonna put something up super permanent, gonna be there forever, I like you know, big frame and stuff. I use 20 penny galvanized, and if I use nails, I use galvanized for everything. It's just the way it is. But these deck screws work real well. It's a little more costly, but it's a good way to go. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing here. Is I'm putting the sheathing on my wall here. This one here is the wall closest to me, so I'll basically just stand it up, put it in place over there when it's time. The other one we got to bring around to the other side, but it's in a relative position, so it won't be too hard to handle. The two of us can get it over there and get it in place when it's time. But anyway, that's what I'm doing here on my Monday morning so far. Well, I'm just about to start the painting process here. I figured I'd better do a little update. Got my two side walls there, my end wall built, and then I kind of built this truss looking thing for the front end to hang my purlins on, and then it'll get sighted on the outside edge after it's all stood up and kind of tacked together. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint this stuff and see if I can get these walls stood up here today. Well, it's Monday afternoon here, and I guess you can see what I got. This side wall here has only got like 1 or 2 coats of paint. The back side here up against the fence has got like 4 coats of paint. A couple battens there down the seams. So we don't have to paint the back side anymore. And here's what we got. We got our 12 wide and not quite, it's like 710 or something like that in depth, and I can just walk underneath this board here on my truss wannabe. It's going to get sheeted with this same sheathing on the face of it, which will strengthen it up a whole bunch. I'll probably put afterwards 1 post straight up in the center, but it'll be plenty to carry that little polycarbonate roof. And then what I'm going to end up doing, instead of rafters, is I'm going to run my purlins from side to side. I'm going to use basically the same type of brackets they use to hang these stringers on this fence, the ones they put on the 4x4. I have a whole bunch of used ones from the fence that got ripped out, so I'm going to use those and set my purlins down inside of that. And anyway, it's going to be plenty strong. Going to anchor this down to the concrete now, down to this curb. Guess we can see here on the edge what I got. I got my sheathing sticking out. Basically the 2x4 is sitting like right at the edge of the curb, and the sheathing's hanging out. It's all painted around this edge already, several coats on the bottom edge where it's going to be a pain in the ass to get to. the rest of these, the two side walls and all the rest of this is going to get painted while it's in place here. But I just painted what was going to be tough to get to. But anyway, you can see how it's sitting there. It's that way all the way around on this curb with the sheathing sticking out, you know, so that'll keep water off of this old tired curb. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and drill for my anchors and set my anchors in place. Probably 3 along, 1 at each end of this wall, 1 in the center, and then probably 5 across the back, and 3 more out here, and that'll hang it on this curb just fine. I won't be screaming for anti-M when the house blows away. So anyway, that's what I'm fixing to do. I'm going to go ahead and nail this turkey down and do a little more work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and anchor these, and these guys here are what I'm using. Basically, you drill your 1/4 inch hole, slam them down tight, and then pound this guy down in, which expands the bottom end. I generally do not pound this all the way home. I leave it just enough I can hook the ears of a pry bar onto. In case I ever got to move this, I'm able to get a hold of that nail, pull it back out, and then I'm able to remove this. Otherwise, if you slam them all the way in, you're pretty much into cutting things off or destroying what's there to get them out. So I always, you know, nothing's permanent, so I always just leave a little bit, enough to hook the head of this nail and pull it back up out of there if I need to. Anyway, I'll see if I can set it up, and I'll drill the first one. I've pre-drilled all my boards where I'm gonna put the anchors, so I kind of pre-drilled the board so I don't split them out with this hammer drill. We'll see if we can find a spot that will work. No, that ain't so bad. We'll give that a shot. Anyway, just your standard little hammer drill, so see what we can do. West, that's the first one, so now I'll go ahead and set this guy down in there. Okay, it's not quite all the way tight yet, so just do at that point, just grab one of your wasted bits and use it as a drift, I guess, to put her on down home, and then I leave just a little bit here so I can hook that if I have to and get it back out of there in the future. Anyway, that ain't going anywhere. So anyway, I'm going to work my way around this this wall here and finish them up, get them in place, and see how we do. These anchors I'm using here are 3 inches. 2x4 is 1.5 inches, so I got 1.5 inches down into the cement here. So ought to be alright. Anyway, get all these guys in. Have this thing sitting where I want it, and then I can go ahead and put some purlins on. So come back after I get a little something else done, I guess. See how these sink down. Here's a tip when you're running a mess of these screws. These are deck screws. These happen to be 3.5 inchers. It's a pretty healthy screw. I generally pre-drill at least halfway through the first board I'm going through. But another thing to save the batteries on your poor little 14.4 guy here is a chunk of soap. You can see a few screws have been through this. It just stays in the screw box. My particular brand of choice here is that. Anyway, an old candle works, you know, wax. I just happen to use soap because it's cheaper, unless you find, you know, go to the dollar store, buy a bunch of candles, I guess. But anyway, this will save on your batteries, saves on the little bits here. You don't tend to snap as many of those guys off, and works great. And you know, anyway, it just kind of helps those screws run right in. When I pull them out of the box, I just give them a swipe, you know, throw a little wax on, or a little soap on there, and run them on in. Works good. Well, I guess you can see where we're at here now. Got these purlin things in place. Anyway, so then I can set my polycarbonate up on top of them. Bird's eye view, I guess. They run up and down on top of these things. I got to find a cap for it. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Kind of hard to see anything in here. Get back a bit, and I'm going to leave the front of it open for now. I may or may not put a front on it. I have to wait and see how it goes, see how much blow in I get and this and that. It's just for lawnmowers and shovels and rakes and crap, so we'll have to wait and see. But I gotta go ahead and face the front of this thing for right now. Then we can paint all these purlins and everything so that when our two-story neighbors there are looking down on top of it, everything's all pretty painted underneath that clear polycarbonate. Well, it's been determined that I gotta put some kind of an end wall on this. Whether or not I put a full door on it, I don't know. But when you give it a shove side to side, it got a little bit of wobble back and forth, so it really needs some kind of a, you know, angle brace in this area to stiffen this end up of the building up. The back wall, it ain't moving, but this front wall, this little bitty amount here is not enough to really strengthen it up. It will stiffen up once I get my roofing on and all screwed down correctly. That'll help it quite a bit, but I don't know. I think I'll figure out some kind of an end wall type of affair, but that can be put off for another day. It's not the stormy season, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Anyway, we'll come back to it later.